Korea has won Worlds 10 times in 15 seasons. This year at Worlds, 3 out of the 4 teams in the semi-finals were all Korean. Players from around the world revere the Korean server as peak League of Legends, and teams around the world import Korean players for their high level of skill. But why? Why is Korea so good at League of Legends? Is there something in the water? Are they simply built different? Or is their solo queue just that much better than every other region? Well, it actually goes much deeper than just their gameplay. Let me show you why the country of South Korea became the perfect storm to create the greatest players in League of Legends history. It's July 1997, and foreign investors have gotten cold feet with their investments in Thailand. The Thai government was forced to let the value of the Thai baht be decided by the market instead of being tied to the US dollar, and so the Thai baht begins to collapse. This creates a ripple effect for the whole Asia region, as foreign debt to GDP ratios rose from 100% to 167%. The Indonesian rupiah falls alongside it. Then the third country to feel the brunt of the Asian financial crisis was none other than South Korea, where the South Korean won plummeted in value. Businesses in South Korea were operating on cheap credit and foreign investment, and they weren't getting their expected returns. This financial disaster left South Korea in a precarious position, unable to repay their debts to foreign investors. Luckily, the International Monetary Fund stepped in to save South Korea from this crisis with a $58 billion bailout package. But this bailout package wasn't without conditions. The IMF wanted to restructure and place conditions on South Korea to ensure that this bailout package would be repaid in the future. And although this was a dark time for Korea's financial state, the country was able to recover very quickly. Korea became a blank canvas with new regulations, ready for investment, and a new identity. Korea looked forwards and understood that they couldn't compete with China on manufacturing, instead investing in technology. This caused Korea to implement the Cyber Korea 21 plan. This plan states that all Korean people, regardless of age, sex, region, and income, should have the opportunity to use computers and the internet. Korea began construction of a fiber optic backbone network for the country, as well as providing high-speed networks in rural areas. This allowed Korea to bridge the geographical digital divide between urban and rural areas, ensuring that the entire country has access to high-speed internet. In order to promote PC ownership, an Internet PC project was created, offering second-hand PCs free of charge to people with low incomes. There were also many Korean internet companies competing for market share, like Korea's ThruNet, Hanro Telecom, and very, very familiar names of SK Telecom and KT, otherwise known as Korean Telecom. This led to internet usage in Korea to absolutely skyrocket, and by 2004, 73% of Koreans were using the internet. But this wasn't just average internet. The fiber optic network made Korea one of the leading nations in high-speed internet by 2004. In just 4 short years, Korea had digitized both their population and their economy. After the financial crisis, many Koreans tried to start new businesses that were affordable enough for the struggling Korean populace, but also profitable and with widespread appeal. In this digitized Korea, with an abundance of electronics and policies promoting PC ownership, Koreans could bulk buy PCs and peripherals, then charge customers to use them on high-speed internet. And thus, the PC Bang was born. Also known as internet cafes in other countries, PC Bangs started popping up all over the country, peaking at around 21,549 PC Bangs in 2009. During this PC Bang peak, the community and culture of PC Bangs was intertwined with teenage life. PC Bang owners made sure it was extremely affordable to play, charging as little as 1,000 to 1,500 won. or around 75 cents to $1 per hour. This meant that teenagers with very little money and unemployed people struggling during the financial crisis could easily afford time at the PC Bang. Another reason that PC Bangs thrived was because of the density of Korea. South Korea's population density is approximately 530 people per square kilometer, or around 1,375 people per square mile, making it one of the most densely populated countries in the world. I saw an Invent Global post talking about the density of Korea and how it impacted them while growing up. They're quoted in saying, "When playing at school, you'll usually see more than 100 students playing at 2 goalposts. More than 5 balls are kicked from one place to the other. Essentially, more than 5 games are played in the same football field at the same time." This population density impacts the ability for people to use open social spaces. But with a PC Bang, each person takes up very little space. This means that multiple groups of friends can all enjoy spending time together easily rather than taking up multiple football fields, making PC Bangs a much easier place to hang out. Many Koreans have spent a significant amount of their youth hanging out at the PC Bang with friends after school or university. If you think about gaming in a country without popular internet cafes, many people will own and enjoy different games. Some people grew up playing story games, some playing fighting games, or some playing first-person shooters. It just depended on what you owned. But in Korea, the PC Bang culture meant that the games that were already installed on PCs would become the most popular in Korea. All of them online live service games like Lineage, MapleStory, and most iconic of all, StarCraft Brood War. StarCraft, being an online competitive game, took advantage of this Korean landscape, as the country was covered in high-speed internet, and there were lots of people in the PC Bangs all playing StarCraft. The extremely rewarding mastery curve and high skill ceiling of StarCraft meant that the unemployed people from the financial crisis and the youth could invest so much time into the game and see it pay off. The high-speed internet of Korea also meant that the optimization and micro-level mechanics could be performed extremely precisely, allowing Korean players a great environment to master the game. Easy matchmaking with the Battle.net client, and even an option to play LAN, allowing for local competition in your PC Bang community. So although the game wasn't even language localized, on release, StarCraft took over Korean culture. By July of 2001, South Korea had purchased 2 million units of StarCraft, accounting for 50% of all StarCraft sales worldwide. StarCraft had a built-in leaderboard, and at the local PC Bangs, players would crowd around the best players' screens to watch them compete against other top-level players. Noticing this, PC Bang owners would put on local tournaments to decide who the best players in each district were. These small local tournaments would be the spark that eventually grew into the fire of the massive Korean esports scene. Blizzard would then go on to host online ladder tournaments amongst the top players in each region. Esports leagues like the Korean Professional Gamer League and Net Club would be created, showcasing the best StarCraft players going head-to-head against one another, and South Korea as a country would fully embrace this. In the year 2000, Korea saw the future in esports and would establish KESPA, otherwise known as the Korean Esports Association. The official goal when creating KESPA was to make esports an official sporting event and to solidify the commercial position of esports in all sectors. This ensured legitimacy for the working conditions of pro gamers, the formation of official esports events, and encouraging the general Korean population to play games. This led into the first official esports TV channel, called OnGameNet, which would host Star League, being the first professional StarCraft league in Korea, which went on to become extremely popular. In October of 2000, the world first Cyber Games was held in Korea, with 174 competitors from 17 different countries, featuring games like Quake 3, Age of Empires 2, and most importantly of all, StarCraft Brood War. The actions of Kesper and the professional StarCraft scene in Korea started the legitimization of professional gaming all the way back in the year 2000. And by 2002, Korea had officially recognized professional gamer as a legitimate job title. These early Korean StarCraft tournaments looked so similar to the current tournaments we have today, with players on stage, big crowds, and even professional business sponsors. The only difference was back then, some of the players had way crazier entrances and celebrations. Meanwhile, esports tournaments in the West looked more like this: fold-out tables lined with hundreds of PCs, far less professional, no stages, no sponsors, and no theatrics. Don't get me wrong, I love this organic competition as well, just a bunch of gamers coming together to see who's the best. But it's clear to see that Korea was already years ahead with how esports was run and respected, all because of the development of Kesper. The same goes for teams and players. Organizations like SKTT1 and KT Rolster got their start in the StarCraft scene. As the scene progressed, teams began to get full gaming houses, coaching staffs, managers, and corporate sponsors. This seriousness allowed Korean teams to get insanely good at StarCraft, living with one another, discussing strategy, analyzing opponents, and having many different perspectives on the game, all coming together to create immaculate strategy. The collective intelligence of the team was far greater than the single intelligence of one player, making these teams improve exponentially. Players had scheduled practice, scrim partners, internal leagues, and would play the game 10 to 14 hours a day. The team houses and PC bungs of Korea meant that the players were not just having competition to be better than their opponent, but also trying to be better than the other players on their own team or their local area. Players like Boxer, Anytime, and Flash would not only be respected by their peers, but also the wider player base, with huge crowds of fans cheering them on as they played against one another. It wasn't instantaneous, but Korea as a country slowly gained respect for the skill it takes to be a professional gamer. All this effort and grinding paid off for the Korean players. This is the 50 highest earning StarCraft Brood War players of all time. If you look closely, you may notice that there are quite a few Korean players on the list, with only 2 non-Korean players in the top 50. And all of this esports success occurred before League of Legends was released. It actually took quite a while for League of Legends to come to Korea. League of Legends was originally released on the 27th of October 2009 with the American servers. Then the European servers were created halfway through 2010. So by the time Season 1 Worlds happened on the 18th of June 2011, Korea still didn't have their own servers and didn't have a team to compete. But finally, after Season 1 Worlds, in December of 2011, Riot would strike a deal to bring League of Legends to South Korea. But entering the Korean market is no easy feat, as PC bungs already have games installed on their computers. So instead of trying to entice new customers with a shiny new product, you are competing against a whole roster of existing established games. The other issue that League of Legends faced when entering the Korean market is they had almost no competitive edge. Because of Korea's high-speed internet and PC bung culture, they almost exclusively play online free games. But Riot Games approached Korea in a very respectful and sincere way, doing press conferences talking about providing high levels of service with League of Legends when bringing it to Korea, making sure that they were providing a great player experience rather than just another online free-to-play game like all the other games in Korea. Seeing this, the Korean player base felt the sincerity of Riot Games, and after just 6 days of League of Legends being released, it had already broken into the top 10 on the list of games in Korea. The Korean player base couldn't get enough of League of Legends. and on the 23rd of March 2012, just a mere 3 months after release, League of Legends hits the #1 spot on the list of games in Korea. But why? Why did the Korean player base gravitate so much towards League of Legends? League of Legends is based on a mod of the RTS game Warcraft 3, and even in Korea today, they don't label League of Legends as a MOBA, because they still call it an RTS. This meant that the 10 years of StarCraft skills could in some way translate over to League of Legends. Macro decision making, micro unit control and ability usage, vision control, and map control. This made picking up League of Legends very, very easy for an entire country that was intimately familiar with the mechanics of StarCraft. The other reason Koreans loved League of Legends was actually one of its biggest differences when compared to StarCraft. StarCraft's main competitive game mode is 1 versus 1, so you have to be at a similar skill level as your friends if you want to have fun playing with them. League of Legends, on the other hand, is 5 versus 5, meaning that groups of friends could all very easily play together. This took advantage of the PC ban culture, as it made the social outing even more social. League of Legends' focus on micromechanics meant that the high-speed internet of Korea was the perfect place to play. This made the Korean server synonymous with an extremely high level of micromechanics, and players always trying to outplay each other no matter what position they're in. As the Korean player base started to become more and more obsessed with League of Legends, the network OnGameNet also leaned into the trend and launched the country's first major League of Legends tournament in March of 2012. Korean teams like StarTale and CJ Entus instantly bought into the League of Legends hype, creating their own League of Legends rosters alongside their StarCraft rosters. Riot then doubled down on the popularity in August of 2012, as they created a Korean-specific feature for League of Legends. This feature meant that if you logged into your account to play League of Legends at a PC bang, you would instantly have all of the champions unlocked completely for free. This was a genius move by Riot, leaning into the Korean PC bang culture so the Korean player base felt understood and respected by Riot. All of this culminated into the perfect environment for League of Legends to thrive. And as October rolled around, Season 2 of Worlds had finally come. So for a year, Korea had been training and transferring their StarCraft skills, but was still technically a year behind the other regions on game experience. But even still, after just 1 year, the Korean team Azubu Frost made it to the Season 2 Worlds Finals, losing to TPA in the end. But for their first international tournament, Korea had quite a good showing. But over Season 3, the League of Legends scene would really develop and grow, as more StarCraft teams would end up making League of Legends rosters. SKTT1, also known as T1 now, and KT Rolster would make their own League of Legends teams and are still competing today, as well as other iconic teams of Samsung Ozone and Jin Air Green Wings. These big teams investing in League of Legends meant that they brought with them 10 years of esports knowledge. The team houses, coaches, mindset, work ethic, and professionalism all carried over into League of Legends. These Korean teams and players took the game very seriously, especially when compared to Western teams. Another carryover from StarCraft was the large team rosters. The Korean StarCraft rosters had proven that having lots of players to scrim against each other and sharing their collective knowledge made for exponential improvement. So in the early days of Korean League, many teams would have an A team and a B team, double the talent, consistent scrim partners, and teams could practice strategies amongst themselves without worrying about them being leaked. The B team could also be utilized to trial new players. Faker's first professional game was actually against SKTT1's B team, and his dominant performance is what convinced them to pick him up for the main roster. This A and B team structure meant that the A team at the end of the year would be the best players in the organization. This also led to internal competition from players to grind and get better to reach the A team. But Korea didn't just have multiple teams, they also had multiple leagues. OnGameNet was seen as the Premier League, but for teams that didn't qualify or got knocked out, there was a secondary league called the NLB. This added even more competition for improvement, and made sure that even if teams weren't in the Premier League, they were still playing and improving. And in no time at all, Korea had not just caught up to the other regions, but had become the best region to ever play League of Legends. SKTT1 wins 2013 Worlds. Then Samsung White wins 2014 Worlds. Then SKTT1 wins both 2015 Worlds and 2016 Worlds back to back. And then Samsung Galaxy wins 2017 Worlds. So for Korea, it was 5 years of straight League of Legends Worlds wins. The gap between Korea and the other regions was huge. All of this dominance was the result of the perfect esports storm. First, the Asian financial crisis impacts Korea. Then the country heavily invests in tech and high-speed internet with a boom of PC bangs across the country. Then StarCraft takes off in Korea and becomes part of Korean culture. The Korean government ends up taking esports seriously, setting up professional infrastructure. Then League of Legends comes to Korea at the perfect time, and Riot Games enters the market very respectfully, and the Korean audience becomes obsessed. So all that previous StarCraft infrastructure and esports understanding allows Korea to master the game faster than every other region. But Korea didn't just have some success with every other region catching up, because Korea has continued to improve year after year. The professionalism and infrastructure around esports continues to grow. Faker has become a household name in Korea. Huge company sponsorships and advertisements with esports players. Korean esports teams have their own facilities, PC bangs, and in-person merchandise stores. Riot continues to develop in Korea with the LOL Park venue where the LCK is held, with a Riot merchandise store, PC rooms, and cafe. There are countless League of Legends collaborations in food, drinks, and merchandise in Korea, which reminds me a lot of the StarCraft sponsorships of old, like the iconic Korean Air StarCraft 2 themed plane. League of Legends has become a large part of Korean culture, as if it were their national game. This has normalized professional gaming so much that the mum of pro player Pays hired a full-time League of Legends tutor when he was in school. Pays was quoted in saying, "At first, he would come over 2 or 3 times a week, but eventually I hit a plateau. Since it was summer break, my tutor stayed with us for a month, watching me play every single day." People in Korea have been seeing gaming success as comparable to when a child is talented at sport or art, getting them the resources they need to succeed. It seems like every other region is playing catch-up to Korea. China is obviously second place when compared to other regions of EU and NA. But Korea and League of Legends are binded together, with Korea winning Worlds 4 times in the past 4 years. It seems like the era of Korean dominance is not over yet, and Korea will not stop until they achieve League of Legends perfection.